Hello, Lisa Moore here. All right, wanted to do an update on the 18 unit. I intended to do it yesterday, obviously did not get to it, so wanted to give an update. It's been a eventful week at our 18 unit. So, in general, everything's pretty much going as planned, as expected. The 3 bedrooms are taking a little longer to rent than we had hoped. I think we started the price a little too high, so we just dropped it down some. So we'll see. All the 2-bedroom units are rented. We actually have a backlog for the 2-bedroom units. So if any more of those come available, we have people that we could call and hopefully get them rented pretty quickly. The 3 bedrooms, we still have a few that need to get rented. The tenants that are still there that we inherited, we're still working on getting a few of them out. One of them, they're Section 8, and we're trying to get them approved for one of our 3-bedroom. They're actually a really good tenant. They've been there for, I think, 8 or 9 years. Just a tenant we'd like to keep, just a good tenant to have there. So we're working with Section 8 to get them approved for one of the updated units because they're really, I mean, they're below market for the 2 bedrooms and they're in a 3-bedroom. So I think they're $600 or $700 below market. So trying to get them approved to be moved into one of the updated 3-bedroom units. One of the tenants sounds like I need to get an update, but last we heard they're trying to get up by June 15th. We did offer them cash for keys, and a couple of them took it, a couple of them didn't. So one said they should be up by June 15th. They're just trying to find a place. Another one, they're trying to find a place, and our property manager has been called by numerous property management companies when they're just doing their screening of the tenants. And of course, they can't lie. They have to be honest. And when they ask, do they owe any back rent and do they pay on time, they have to be told no. So they've been turned down in a lot of places. But as our property manager said, he's like, they're obviously at least trying to find a place. He really is looking for something. So we're trying to figure out how to handle that one. And yeah, I'm trying to think I think there might be one other tenant that we're waiting to hear from, but we will be starting the eviction on a couple of them if they are not getting out. And because evictions take so long there, a couple of them we told, like, look, we're going to start the process now because we know it's going to be 6-8 months. And they're obviously hoping to be out by then. So, but overall, you know, they're not being like the squatters. So, and the remodel, so the 2 people that took the cash for keys, those units were getting remodeled. I think maybe by the end of today's Sunday. I was like, what day is today? Within the next week and a half, those 2 units should be done. I know we need to get countertops still, but they've been painted, flooring, all the touch-ups, vanity's been put in, new cabinets have been installed. I think all the electrical's been done, all the new lighting's been installed. We're pretty much down to just getting the countertops installed and the few little details once all that final stuff is in. So that's good. Get those. And we're actually going to have those 2 units. We're going to try a different third-party company to do leasing. So we reached out to our broker that we bought the property with, and knowing that he has people that do leasing. In Chicago, real estate agents do a lot of leasing for units. I don't know if it's not that common here in Utah. I don't think we've ever had a real estate agent contact us about one of our units for rent, that they were helping somebody get in, trying to find an apartment. I honestly don't know if it happens here in Salt Lake. I've never, as I said, we've never encountered it. It's very common apparently in Chicago. And not only is it common there to use a third party, but also our broker, he sold two or three of these buildings to somebody a few years ago, helped them buy them, represented them, and his guy does the leasing for those buildings. So he knows the buildings. He might have some people that he could reach out to already that he's screened or talked to about the other buildings. So we're going to give them a try and see how they go. Our property manager wasn't too thrilled about it, but I'm like, sorry guys, like, we need to get these rented. And like, yes, you've gotten the 2 bedrooms rented, but we really need to get these rented. And the fact that they could potentially have some people that they can reach out to, potential tenants from the other units, the other buildings. I said, we're going to give them a call and see how they do. I said, if they get them rented quicker, I said, then we're going to pay them for that. I was like, you guys will still manage it and do everything else. But yeah, so going to give that a try. If it takes the same amount of time and it's no different, then we'll just, probably just use our property manager. We'll see. But yeah, so that 9, 10, 11. So that's, so then that's 7 units left that is that right? I think it's 7 units left that we're 5, because 2 of the units have 2 of the tenants that we inherited actually paid rent. So it's 5. So yeah, there's the squatters, the Section 8 that we want to keep, the one guy that's trying to get out, the woman that's supposed to be out June 15th, and then the one more tenant that we're waiting to, they're pretty sure they're going to be able to work with her to get her out, that we won't have to evict her. But yeah, so it would be 5 units left to rehab once the 2 that were almost done are finished. So that's awesome. We're already, is it today actually June 1st? Yeah, so crazy that we are already into June. That is just nuts. So June, July, August, September. So yeah, in about 3 to 4 months is when I'll start to be looking for lenders to refinance. So we really, out of those final 5, I don't want 1, 2 units at most. I'd want either vacant or dealing with an eviction, for when we're refinancing. So that, I don't see, obviously you never know what could happen, but out of those 5 units, I don't see why we wouldn't be able to get at least 3 of those people moved out and get those rehabbed and rented by the end of the year. So that's good. And as I said, overall, it's gone as expected. There's always, when you're doing out of state, when you're doing things from afar, it can take a little while to find the right team. We have some awesome guys now. Our handyman has been doing he's been doing a lot of the stuff for the rehab. We hired out a couple things, electrician and countertops, but man, he has been awesome. We are so happy that we finally found someone. It can take some trial and error. So if you are either investing with somebody that is doing that and they're telling you that they're, having to get a new contractor, there could be a million reasons why, but it can take, especially when you're in a new spot, it can take a while and go through several contractors until you find the right team. So if you're the one actually doing it and investing out of state or even in state for that matter, just contractors in general, it can take multiple going through multiple contractors before you find the good ones, the reliable ones. So we're really happy with our team out there now. These 2 remodels have gone way smoother. Just very, very happy with them. The property management, overall, we're pretty happy with them. Some of the things we haven't been thrilled with, the pictures and the listings, super shitty. We obviously want better pictures. We've sent them better pictures, and I know from like our experience that in a lot of situations, if you're using a property management software, we use Inago, they use Appfolio. There's a whole bunch of them, but in a lot of cases, what happens is you'll do your listing on one site, and they push out to all the sites, to Zillow and Apartments and Rental.com and all those different sites. And when you do an update, it can take a couple days, and not everything always goes smoothly pushing through to the other sites. We sent them updated pictures, and they haven't been updated. The listings got updated, but not all the pictures. They're saying they updated the pictures, they're just not getting pushed through. So, and some of the sites show one picture, some of them have all of the pictures. So there's been some of that stuff, and they say Appfolio just kind of sucks for that. So not super happy with that, but they also made the point, the same pictures are being used for the same quality pictures are being used for the 2-bedroom as for the 3-bedroom, and all the 2-bedrooms got rented. They said, so do the pictures suck? Absolutely. But it's hard to say that is why the 3-bedrooms aren't getting rented when the same pictures are used for both and all the 2-bedrooms are rented. And we're like, you have a point. Still want better pictures, but you do have a point. So that, and then just some of the communication, and some of it was what our expectations were and what we thought, who we thought we had to contact and things like that. So the main person, we were under the impression that we'd be working with him and whatnot, and that was not the case. But the guy that we are working with, and now that we know that we're working with this one specific person, it has been better. And he's awesome. He's been super cooperative, really good to work with. We're very happy with him and stuff. The showings, we secret shop the property manager, and they say they do showings nights and weekends. The guy that we're working with, his name is Willie. He says, I know they do them on the nights and weekends because I've gotten phone calls asking, hey, what's the code for our lockbox? He says, but that's not to say that one of the showing that they called and talked to a showing agent, that maybe that showing agent didn't work on the weekends. Because we did have somebody secret shop, and they were told they were trying to get a showing booked on a weeknight. And whoever they're communicating with was saying, well, not saying that they don't do them, but just there's no availability, or can you check back in a couple days? Most rental markets now, like, that's not going to fly anymore. You need to be on top of it. They are going to move on to the next place. They've got plenty of options, and yes, we have good units, but there's nothing so amazing and special that our units are like, oh my God, this is the only unit that has X, Y, and Z and da-da-da. Like, overall, most apartments are all pretty similar when you're, your C-class, your B-class, your A-class. They all are somewhat similar, obviously, have some differences, but short of you being an A-class where there can be some really nice amenities and stuff, your C-class, B-class, you're all pretty similar. So they're not going to sit around and be like, oh, let's just wait and see if I can, they'll be like, okay, well, I'm just gonna move on to the next one that's the same price, that has the same stuff, same size. So that's something that we still are not super happy with, because we're still not sure if exactly how it's working. But what else? I think that's the majority for the property management. Like I said, overall, no property manager is ever going to manage as good as us. No property manager is ever going to care about our property it's just not going to happen. So you just have to know, even when you have a property manager, for us, we do not have a property manager and expect, okay, we don't have to do anything. No, we still have to do stuff. We still have to manage the manager. We just don't have to do all of the busy day-to-day stuff, finding the tenants and dealing with all that stuff. We just have to deal with Willie, talk to him, get updates, and where are we with this, and do weekly calls to check in, see where things are at, and stuff. So it's it's not a completely hands-off, but if I can, own this 18 unit out in Chicago, and if on average I'm only having to do a 15 to 30 minute phone call a week to just check in, see how things are, great. Obviously, it's being stabilized, so we're spending more time than once it's stabilized, obviously, because we're just having to be active during this time frame, especially the last week, and the excitement that we had with the squatters. So Illinois is a tenant-friendly state, which we knew. So we have squatters in one of our units, and I don't want to say I didn't care that they were squatting, but we knew we were inheriting shit tenants, and the squatters actually are not. The tenant moved out, and some of her family stayed and moved in more friends. So I figured we'd have to evict one or two people, and that was just that was going to be this unit. The squatters in Chicago, you unfortunately can't. I'll get to, you might be able to soon, but as of now, legally, you got to go through the whole eviction process. Even if you can prove, like, they are squatters. This wasn't a tenant that stopped paying that we had a lease with. These are just straight up squatters. So I just figured it's going to be the eviction, whatever, file it. Let's just start the process and go through it. Well, the last 2-bedroom unit that we rented, the people were supposed to be moving in yesterday. And our property manager went and did the final walkthrough and cleaning and checked to make sure everything was all good and ready for the tenant. And they walked in and the bathroom ceiling was collapsed. Water damage from the unit above. And so he's telling me this. He tells me what unit, and immediately my brain goes, the squatters are above them. And so he's telling me the damage and whatnot. And then he says, and in case you didn't know, the unit above them is the squatters. And I said, I did. As soon as you said the unit, I was thinking, oh, great. Because they have knocked on the door. They have tried to pay them. They will not do any communication whatsoever. They will not answer the door, nothing. So obviously there's water damage. We need to get into that unit to see what's going on. We are also concerned with safety. If water is leaking and there's electrical, we do not want anything starting a fire or having any issues. So our guy killed power to those units. That got them out of their unit. Obviously we were not there. We were in Utah. This is happening in Chicago. John, my husband, did hop on the phone with our handyman when all hell broke loose. So they shut off the power and locked the utility room. We're trying to talk to them to be like, hey, we need to get in. And they wouldn't answer, wouldn't let anyone in. They're like, all right, well, until we know what's going on, like, we need to shut things down so we don't have, a fire or any issues. And man, they were out of there pretty quick. We ended up having to call the cops. There was about to be a big altercation between our guy and the squatters, and apparently there's like 6, 7, 8 guys that seemed like that were squatting there. And cops came, our property manager was there, and lots of colorful language and lots of yelling. And the squatters not wanting to let anyone in. And because the cops were there and because it was a maintenance thing, our guy went in. And they broke the toilet. They've been using the tub as their toilet, apparently. We don't know for how long, but this is like the fun part of being a landlord. These are the stories that make people not want to buy properties, but this is also normally a small fraction of what we deal with, but this is what makes it exciting. In some ways, it's kind of fun. John and I were talking about this today. Like, are we happy that we have squatters that are damaging our property? No, but it is. I don't know. There's just something it is kind of fun. Like sitting here problem solving. Like, okay, how can we get them out? What can we do? Talking to the attorneys and what's the next steps and whatnot. So cops were there. the guys are apparently about to be swinging at our guys, and just utter chaos. The cops told us that we could keep the power off in the units because it is a safety hazard. We figured they were going to break into the utility room. Sure enough, the squatters did overnight. And the cops, they said, we wish we could do something. We wish we could help you. We wish we could arrest them. Unfortunately, legally, there's nothing we can do. If you have them on video breaking into something, breaking into the utility room, damaging the property, we can come and arrest them. Only the ones that are doing it. So you've got 6, 7 guys, 8 guys in there. Okay, we catch 1 or 2 of them doing something, arrest them. Odds are they wouldn't be in jail for long. Like, they would just end up back there. So we need to go through the legal filing and doing the eviction, which we're waiting to hear from our property manager because that was already supposed to have been started, and waiting to find out what's going on with that. We should be talking to them tomorrow to get an update. But yeah, it was apparently quite the eventful time. And we just have to kind of figure out, okay, is the water, if there keeps being water leaks and keeps being damage, then we might have to shut the water off to the whole building. And we're just trying to figure out, I talked to one attorney on Friday. I'm going to talk to another one. I'll be traveling tomorrow, so probably have to be Tuesday, or John will have to talk to him. But just to see what the options are, because we're not going to let our property flood and continue to have damage. So we unfortunately, we don't know if there's a way to shut the water off to just, well, we know there's not like a specific, like with the electric, there's the breakers. We can just straight up turn off the breakers and do that by unit. The water doesn't have that. We did talk to the building inspector. We're like, look at, like, what can we do? This is, can we condemn this and have them have to get out? And he says, well, look to see, like, if your ceiling's gone, look to see if there's if you can get access to the water shut-off valve, and maybe you can get the water shut off that way. So we've got a few things we're trying to figure out and look into. If we can get the water shut off, if we're going to have to shut off in the whole building, if we're going to have the other few tenants move. So just trying to figure that out. But there is a bill that just passed unanimously, apparently, on, I'm trying to remember exactly, whatever, a squatter's bill. Basically changing the laws where if they're a squatter, so not if it's an eviction, so not a tenant that stops paying, that wouldn't affect them, but actual squatters that are illegally squatting in a property, like what we're dealing with now, basically going back to allowing the cops to come and be able to remove them, not having to go through the eviction process. We just would have to show, like, look, we do not have a lease with them. We'd have to, I don't know if we have to provide some written statement or what, but basically it would allow the cops to come and remove squatters without having to go through the eviction. If they're in there, we could call them up and be like, hey, we have squatters. They can go there and move them right away. So I was reading a couple articles on it today, and from what I've read, both sides of the aisle, Democrats, Republicans, housing authority, housing advocates, like, everyone has been in agreement. Yes, pass this. It was unanimously approved. So now it's sitting on the governor's desk to be signed in to law. I was trying to find out, like, how long that's going to take. And I couldn't find, like, there was no, okay, he is expected to sign it and blah, 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 this day or within this time frame. The most that I found was everyone's expecting it to be signed soon. I don't know what soon means, but exactly that is, but they say soon because it was a bill that was so unanimously approved. Everyone was in agreement, and everyone's like, we need this now because the squatting has become such an issue there. So we're hoping that passes soon and we can just then get them out immediately and not have to wait 6, 7, 8 months. But yeah, so we'll see if that passes. We're also just trying to brainstorm some other things. We've tried to do cash for keys, but they wouldn't answer the door. But when we were in there the other day, when the cops were there and they're all freaking out, our property manager said, he's like, we've been trying to get a hold of you guys. Like, we will pay you, like, right now. If you guys take all your shit and leave, even if you don't take your shit, even if you just leave and we will change the locks, like, we will pay you to get out. And the one guy was kind of like, you could tell he was starting to, like, think about it apparently, but he was either drugged up or not all there or both. But so that's still another avenue that our property manager might be able to try and do. So trying different things, but yeah, if there wasn't the water damage, not, as I said, not that I don't care, but it's just like whatever, will let them be scums of the earth and squat for the next 6-8 months, and we'll get them out. But the damage definitely has escalated things and complicated my, like, whatever, let's just let them stay. So yeah, that's been the eventful. And yeah, so we will hopefully have a little more info beginning of this week, and definitely going to be watching and checking up on that squatters bill to see when that gets signed in and goes into a law, because it sounds like it would be effective immediately. From what I read, the way that they've written the law and the way everyone's agreed upon it is like, as soon as the governor signs, like, it is effective immediately. So we are hoping. The cops have been there so much. They are on our side. They're giving us suggestions and try this, try that, and whatnot, because they don't want to deal with it. We've overall, so our property's technically in Lansing, so it's about 45 minutes south of Chicago, and we have actually been really, really happy with everyone I've had to deal with Lansing. So the police, which we've had to deal with quite a bit, are very good. We've been super happy with the police that we've had to deal with. Talking to the building department on some things, they've been super helpful. The utilities, the city of Lansing with stuff. So overall, we've been really happy with the city of Lansing. They originally called us because there's a no crime policy. So they, if there's altercations, if they're getting called to an apartment building, they are contacting the owners and, trying to get things dealt with. The city, when we first took it over, I know on another video I talked about this, the dumpster issue and overflowing dumpsters. So, like, they are very on top of those things, which I like, where we actually are very happy that the city is so adamant and a stickler on these things. Just knowing that they're driving around, they're doing everything they can to keep crime down, to keep everything clean, make sure things are not, like, run down and crappy. You're not allowed to have, like, they can go onto private property and ticket in tow if there's a vehicle on a property that is not properly licensed and inspected and stickered and all that stuff. So it can be sitting in your driveway or something like that. It does not matter. If it is illegal, then they can come and ticket and tow it if there's trash around. So, like, they do a lot of stuff to keep the city nice and to keep it clean and do their best to keep the crime down and stuff. So we've been super happy with all of our dealings and every aspect with the city of Lansing. So we're just like, okay, let's get the squatter situation. Let's get all the crap tenants out, get all the new tenants in. And we still expect, like, it's a C-class area. We'll probably have to evict somebody every couple of years. And we knew that. That was okay. Like, we're fine with that. Obviously, our expectation, our hope is that when you are investing in these riskier properties, in these C-class, you're going to get higher returns than if you're in an A-class. Your A-class they're a lot safer, and it's just anytime you're investing in something that is riskier, you should get paid more for it. So, once everything is stabilized and we refinance, it'll be interesting to see what happens when we refinance, where interest rates are at, all that stuff. But overall, so far, things are going good as expected. Happy with the city of Lansing. dealing with the squatters. Really hope this bill passes. I was like, man, this would be great. This would be perfect timing for us, for this squatter bill to pass. So, but if you have any questions on anything, if you want me to go into more details on something, don't be afraid to send me a message, put a comment down there, whatever. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that I can, go into more details on anything. So if you found this helpful, if you got something out of it, then I'd love to know. And if there's someone that you think could find this useful, then please share. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll be continuing to keep doing these updates and just sharing real estate in general. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and yeah, stay tuned. We'll keep everyone updated on what's happening with these squatters.